For today's video, I actually thought I was gonna be cute. So I thought I was gonna be cute today because we're semi talking about Buffy. I was gonna wear a Scooby-Doo shirt so that way you can kind of like, get a cute little nod. And then I realized that Daphne's not on the shirt, and so it kind of defeats the purpose. But I'm gonna keep the shirt on anyway because it's cute. Hello, 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 everybody. How are y'all doing today? I hope that you're having a great day, a great morning, great afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome back to another video. I'm gonna have to figure out the zoom in and the angles and whatever else because you can't even see. I put my picture with me and the charmed ones back there on the wall. But anyway, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave a little comment on the video. Ooh. Well, I mean, probably you'll want to watch the video before you comment on it, but still, go ahead and do it. Today, we are here to have a little discussion about Buffy and Charmed because over the years, I have seen so many comparisons between the two. I have seen people all over social media trying to compare Buffy and Charmed, which is better, which is this, which is that, have all these discussions. Typically, a lot of the questions that I see are, could the Charmed ones beat Dark Willow? Who would win in a fight between Buffy and Phoebe? Which show is better? This one does this better. This one does that better. And the question that I'm always left with is, why are we trying to compare them? So today I'm going to throw my little hat into the ring and try to have a discussion on why we shouldn't even be comparing them in the first place. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to my lovely patrons and say thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Your support means everything to me, and I would not be able to do this without you. If you or somebody you know would like to become a patron, then tell them to hop on over to the Power of G Patreon where they can browse the selection of tiers. You can see what we have going on. We do a weekly Charmed rewatch. We're going to go on hiatus before we start season 2 later on in September. And we have a lot of Halloween things planned, and I am so excited for that. So I do want to say something real quick. I'm much more of a Charmed aficionado. I do have Buffy knowledge, of course, because I've watched it, but I feel like I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about Charm than I would be about Buffy. So if I say something and it's incorrect at any point, please forgive me. It's not that I'm trying to not speak correctly or misinterpret something. I genuinely may just not know. So I apologize ahead of time. So let's go ahead and get into the discussion. There are two overarching points that I want to make. And the first one that I really want to dig into is the fact that the show, they have completely different premises. I'm not sure what the plural of that word is. So within them having a completely different premise, Buffy is a story that I would consider somewhat of a coming of age story because Buffy is literally a child. She is like 16. And by the time we meet her, she's been a Slayer for a year. So she's well versed in what being a Slayer means, but she's also 16. So she's going through major milestones in life. Like, Buffy never got a driver's license. I don't even think Buffy could drive. But the point is, she's going through things like that. She's going through like high school graduations, homecoming dances, prom, SATs, getting into college. She's going through those sort of life changes. Whereas the Charmed ones are literal adults. Phoebe, who is the youngest when we're introduced to them, is like what, 23? She 22, 23. Like, these women are very young in the grand scheme of life, but they're also adults. So they've been through all of the things that Buffy has been through. And they got a chance to do it completely mortal. So that already, to me, is a completely different foundation of what these shows are. Now, I do also want to double back to the fact that Buffy had been a Slayer for a year by the time that we meet her. So it's in universe, she is already established as a Slayer. This is not something new to her. She is not hearing some new pitch. She's not having to make a decision on whether she's going to do this or not. It is what it is. She already knows. She's been here. She's done that. She thinks that this is going to be low key a fresh start for her, where she's not going to have to do all these things. When we meet the Charmed ones, they've been living their mortal lives, doing, yes, they have had a major loss, but now they are being faced with this almost impossible decision of, do we pursue this destiny? What do we do? How do we do it? So although both of them really don't have a chance to turn down their destiny, with the Charmed ones, we're learning about their destiny with them. We are going through the motions of learning about magic. We are watching them learn what this thing is that they're supposed to do. They're supposed to sacrifice their life. They are supposed to be put on the chopping block potentially so that they can protect the world from evil. So it has a completely different feel to it to me because we're going on a journey of self-discovery in one story while we're going on a journey of girl, I've been here, done that, I'm ready to give it up, delicious on the other side. Now, within this discussion, I think that there's one other huge factor to the story. With the Charmed ones, they have a precedent already set that they could become old witches because their grandmother was not super old, but she was in like her 60s, potentially 70s, but I'm going to say 60s because let's just be for real here. um they have that precedent that you can become old as a witch. That can happen. Yes, they are in a dangerous situation. Yes, they could potentially lose their lives at any moment, but there's also a chance that they can survive into their elder years. Buffy does not ever have that option. Buffy is more an anomaly. She is an exception to the rule than she is anything else. Like, especially until the end of the story when they make the big decision, there's a high likelihood that Buffy is going to go up out of here at a very young age. And she actually does several times. So it has a different feel to it in that respect too, because although we know the charmed ones are in imminent danger and that anything can happen at any moment, there's still this tone that maybe they'll get their happy ending, maybe they'll survive, maybe they'll, make it to the end. Whereas Buffy, they already have in universe that you don't get old as a slayer. There's no such thing as an old slayer. You don't, that doesn't happen. Like the oldest slayer was like what, 30, and even then my girl was beat down and worn down. So you see what I'm saying? Do you see how like we're watching this coming of age story where this young girl knows that she's going to lose her life, but I don't think that it actually like the point actually hits her until a certain point in the series and she realizes like, oh, this is not just about me fighting anymore. Like there's a high likelihood that I am not going to make it to 20, even to 18. Whereas the charmed ones, like I said, because they're older and because of their magic system and sort of the way things are set up, there is a not a high, I'm not going to say high likelihood. I'm going to say that there's a chance that they could make it into their elder years. So just that in and of itself to me is like those are worlds apart from each other. Now, there is another thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I said earlier that we're watching Buffy go through, life's milestones. So we're watching her like go to prom, go to homecoming, graduation, going to college, things like that. We're literally watching her give herself to a man for the first time. Those sorts of things. We're watching that on screen for her. Whereas with the Charmed ones, we're literally watching them get married. We're watching them get married. We're watching them have children, buy houses. Like we're watching get a job for the first time as an adult. Like we're watching those milestones for her, for them. And so these two shows, I feel like even though it's supernatural themed, they're for different demographics, but kind of not at the same time. So that's kind of a personal little opinion and observation is that I feel like when you watch the show, you're going to connect to them differently because like I said, yes, we are going through life with both of them, but we're going through completely different life circumstances for both. The second major point that I want to make is that their magical journeys are completely different. So with Buffy, her powers and her power set is based in her physicality. If Buffy can punch it, great. If she can stab it with a sword, great. If she can hit it with a stake, great. That's Buffy's bailiwick. That is the thing that she excels in. And that's where her power comes from. Of course, she has to be smart. Of course, she has to be cunning. But her main ability that she has to realize how to utilize is the strength. She is the weapon. As far as spells and potions and things like that, that's why she has friends that come in from the outside to help her. And yes, we do learn that Buffy with her friends, they are, able to accomplish these things. But I think that the important lesson for a good majority of the season to me is that at the end of the day, Buffy is the slayer. The friends, this is sort of a unique situation. Yes, there have been slayers that had friends in the past, but the slayer works alone. The slayer does things alone. Yes, she is better with her friends to bring in outside resources and abilities and things like that. But as a whole, Buffy is the slayer. She is it. And I like the fact that she really has this one area that she excels in. Then she has to, kind of rely on her friends to make it. And that might be why she makes it longer than your average girl. Whereas with Charmed, their entire thing is sisterhood. Their true power does not come out unless the three of them are together. Yes, they're powerful individually and they can do things other witches can't, but their actual strength as the Charmed ones lies in their sisterhood. So with Buffy, we're watching her navigate relationships with her friends, later on with her sister. We're watching her navigate a relationship with her mother, with her boyfriends, things like that. But with the Charmed ones, their main thing is the relationship between themselves. Because if their relationship amongst their circle is not strong, then literally their greatest power is going to be affected. They're not going to be able to utilize it. So we're watching kind of two different shows in that respect. And that's one of the main reasons that I feel like trying to compare them is at a certain point you're just putting your opinion in there, which is fine. I mean, I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't have an opinion. What I'm saying is that the constant back and forth about which one is better, which one does the greatest, which one is this, it kind of doesn't make sense at a point because you're literally comparing apples to oranges. They're both fruit, they're both delicious, we both love them, or we love both of them, but they're completely different. They have different properties, they have different textures, they have different tastes, they have different everything, but they're still in the family of being a fruit. Another thing, as far as the sisterhood of the Charmed Ones, is the fact that demons do exploit that sisterhood. So that is such a point of importance in the show. The demons actually use that to their advantage to come after the sisters. They come at them through the relationships that they have. And what's so interesting about Buffy is, yes, demons come at her through her friends. It's kind of the same premise. However, Buffy's individual power is not in question if she does lose one of her friends. So we know that if one of the Charmed ones goes, the other two, while they'll still be powerful witches, they're not going to be the Charmed ones anymore. They're just going to be powerful witches. They lose that title of being the Charmed ones because they don't have access to the power of three. Whereas if Buffy loses one of her friends, she's still the Slayer. She's just down a friend. Nothing about her individual power is going to be in question. It's not going to be affected. It's not going to be diminished because she is the power. Now, I keep saying the power. I keep talking about the power. The thing is that Buffy, because her body is the power, because she is the power, we're constantly watching her use her physicality, hone it, and lean into it because that is her main method of achieving her goal as a slayer. Yes, like I said, she has to be cunning. Yes, she has to think. Yes, she has to outsmart. But her main method of power is her strength. Whereas the Charmed ones, while they lean into their physicality, their major component of their magic is the magic itself. It's the spells, it's the potions, it's the powers, it's the individual things that they can do and how they work together versus them just relying on their strength. And yes, I know Phoebe is our martial arts sort of expert on the show. And I say sort of because, at a certain point, my girl got cute and my girl said, I'm not going to fight, baby. I ain't got nothing to do with that. She would clock in from time to time, but it was more like a part-time job. It was a full-time job at first, and then it became a part-time job. Anyway, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. My point in bringing this up is that her physicality was a result of her feeling like she couldn't rely on her main magic to defend her in the moment when she was attacked. So it makes sense that she would incorporate that into her own skill set. However, the end of the day, her magic, her powers, her spells, those are the things that are going to drive her. She is going to mainly be able to vanquish demons with magic. Yes, we do have other things, but there's going to be potions involved. Her being able to punch something is not always going to be the way that she solves the problem. In that way, Buffy doesn't really dabble in spells. She does it every now and again. She tries it out here and there, but that's not her thing, and she knows that. And that's also why she has her friends that can balance her out in that respect. Because girl, my girl can crack open a book, but she ain't too quick to do a spell. You can probably count on one hand, maybe two, the number of times that Buffy has done a spell, because that's not my girl's area of expertise, and I live for that. Now, I didn't have like a third point prepared. It was really only those two major points, but I saw some things that I wrote down that I kind of want to turn into a third point, which is the fact that I want to go back into their magic systems a little bit and kind of how they are adjacent, but they're also not related at all. So Buffy is the current incarnation of the Slayer. She is until later on, child. But Buffy is the current incarnation of the Slayer. And there's only one girl at one time that is the Slayer in the entire world. Which, okay, great, that's cute. But Buffy is not unique. Buffy is the Slayer right now, but then the way it was supposed to go, she was gonna, gone on to the upper room, another girl will be called, and that girl would be the Slayer. So the Slayer is not a unique person. She is someone who has that handle, and she is holding up the mantle of a Slayer. She is the one girl in all the world until there is another one girl in all the world. They, on an individual level, are part of something much, much bigger. The sisters are the culmination of a line. So they are the current generation of a family, but they are uniquely the charmed ones. There have not, in this universe anyway, there have not been any charmed ones before them. They are the first ones. Their line has passed down these powers. They were prophesied to become the charmed ones long before they were ever born. So you get that area of uniqueness with them where there is something special about them. The mantle of the charmed ones has never existed before, and as far as we know, it will never exist again. Now, I know that there's going to be some discussion about the comics and how they were trying to turn Piper's kids into the charmed ones in case they needed them, and that's fine. My point is that that mantle is going to be manufactured. It is not going to come naturally. So that is my whole point, is that they're trying to replicate something that already was versus it spawning naturally. I think that that's an important enough point to bring up because it really does define who they are as witches. The world has never seen the Charmed Ones. They don't know how to navigate a world where the Charmed Ones exist because they're brand spanking new. They've been prophesied. We knew they're coming. We knew what they might be capable of. We've heard things. But as far as actually seeing them in action, this is the first time that has ever happened. Whereas a Slayer, I mean, like, literally everybody knows what a Slayer is. Some of them, the newer vampires probably don't, but people know what the Slayer is. Like, they know Slayers heal fast. They know the Slayers are gonna come after you. They know they know things about Slayers in the magical community. It's not some uncommon knowledge. And Buffy is also aware that the Slayer has existed. So for her, she knows that she is the current incarnation of a very powerful line of women, whereas the charmed ones know they have to learn about this lineage of women that they come from. They have to learn about their ancestors. They have to learn about the things that their ancestors accomplished, how they use these powers, because it's not something that they're even privy to because they were in the dark about it for so long. So even though Buffy probably had to do that when she first became the Slayer, because we're at two completely different points in their stories, we get them from completely different angles. We do see Buffy become very curious about what happened with previous Slayers because there's really no record of it. It's just like, oh, well, how did Buffy put it? She was like, she lived, she fought, oops, she's dead, or something like that. Another thing that's really important about the way they approach those lineages is that with Buffy, we're very here and now focused. We're very focused on she is the current Slayer. There's going to be another one day, supposedly. But right now, Buffy is the Slayer. And that's what we focus on. Whereas with the Charmed ones, there is a focus on history because they are, like I said, the culmination, but there's also a way that we can look to the future because they do want to have children and they know that they're going to pass the power on and things like that. They know that there's a line to continue and to keep going. Whereas Buffy knows, like, girl, once I'm done, that's it. So what is my point in all of this? What is my point with this whole video, with all the comparisons that I'm making? What is the purpose? What is the point? My point is that I think we should be able to enjoy Buffy and Charmed for what they are and not try to pit them against each other. I think that my ultimate point here is that I understand that our brains need to have a place to compartmentalize things. We have to have something that can compare to something else. Like we need something that we can pull from, some experience, something. But at the same time, I think that these shows are meant to be enjoyed in their own right. And I just think that you're running in circles when you try to compare them. I think that when you try to make Buffy into Charmed and bring one into the other's universe to see who could win, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of watching them. They're not meant to be compared. They're not meant to be brought over and crossed over so that one can beat the other or anything like that. You're just supposed to enjoy them. If anything, we can talk about the love that we have for both of them from different angles because I think that they both excel in different things very well. Buffy, I think, does a very, very good job of showing us life developments, things like that. Like, both of them do a good job at that, but Buffy is very character and lore heavy in a way that I think propels it to a different level, where I feel like Charmed is so family focused and it does a really good job of highlighting the way that coming together as a family can give you your strength, and that's the point of that show. And I think that we should just be able to enjoy Charmed and Buffy without trying to compare them and say, oh, this one would eat this one up, this one would do that, this one. Let's just enjoy the show. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got today. That's my little spiel for today. So I am gonna go ahead and sign on off. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave a little comment on the video. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to head on over to my Patreon so that you can see all the amazing things that I have coming up, as well as some of the amazing things that I've already done. I will see you there. I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this video, and I will see you later. Bye.